Hold on a minute. This is not my studio. Hoi folks, and welcome to today's video. Yes, that's right, I'm not in my studio today. We're actually having a little bit of work done on the house, which means that with all the noise and Andrew working from home, he has basically stolen my office studio and he's working from there, which means I'm in our dining room today and got a little project that I want to share with you. So the day of this video going out will be the 9th of February, which is the day before the Lunar New Year. That's difficult to say. Lunar New Year on the Chinese calendar. So essentially Chinese New Year, and this year we are coming into the Year of the Dragon. So I have this little project here that I've had on the back burner for a while because I've been talking to the creator of it. So this project comes from Jane Sawyer at Jane Sawyer Makes, and it is this dragon head mount. So this is a little project you can do from home, and Jane has made this free for anyone to use. There are some terms for it. So it is for personal use only. The contents and derivative works are not to be disseminated. Basically means you can use it yourself, but you can't make content about it. Except I have been chatting with Jane and she has given me permission to go ahead and make one of these and share the project with you. And I thought, since it's the Year of the Dragon, we'll make a lovely dragon. So the dragon on this one is very much a Western dragon, as you can see. But Chinese New Year, I'm thinking about making this a bit more of an Eastern dragon. So you can see, if I show you this on the back here, from the basic dragon you can build up and do different things with it, and that's essentially what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be taking this base form and expanding on it with paper mache to turn it into more of an Eastern dragon. Might be a bit of a hybrid, bit of an East meets West style dragon. Bit of influence from both sides. But this is a project, it's a card craft project. Essentially, this is all made using corrugated card, thin cardstock. So it comes with pattern pieces like this. And all I need to do is basically stick these to the cardstock and then cut them out. So first thing I need to do is find cards. So this, my friends, is where being a trash goblin really helps, because in my garage I do have a stack of scrap card and other bits and pieces. So I'm going to go and have a little bit of a rifle through there, see what I can find, and I'll be back to you in just a minute. Okay, so I have my instructions down here, and I must say the actual instructions, when you go and check on the website and have a look at everything, it is very, very concise. Everything is in here that you need, every step along the way, along with pictures as well, with corresponding numbers. Jane has done an amazing job putting this all together. Now, what I have done, because I've printed all of this back to back so that I can have a nice clean copy for myself, I went and printed an extra copy of just the pattern pieces on single-sided, so it's easy to glue down. What am I gluing it to? Well, I have got here an old broken torn card file, which I'm going to be using for the actual dragon head itself. And then over here I have just an old box. This is actually one from Stabilo, from one of their packages they sent me. I'm going to be using for the head mount. So the head mount is done slightly differently in that you basically draw around it and cut out those pieces. I'll come to that later. I need to sort out this part first, which is everything else. So I was going to cut out individual pieces and stick them down, but Jane has done a very good job at making sure that everything is taking up as little space as possible on the sheet. So the alignment is all very nice. I have some PVA glue here, I have a spreader to spread it out, and I'm just going to spread PVA glue over all of this and stick down these pattern pieces and then let them dry. Okay, it is now, get myself in the frame, it is now quite some time later. In fact, it's so much time later that I've gone out and had a meeting and done shopping and come back. But this is now all fully dry, which means I can go ahead and cut this all out. And every Tuesday I do a Tuesday top tip for aspiring artists and crafters. Here's a little sneaky free one. When you're starting out on a project, make sure you've got all of the supplies that you need at hand, because I've gone out of this room like 5 times now to get different things that I realised that I suddenly need, including scissors and masking tape and lots of other stuff. So anyway, I'm going to cut all of these out and I'll be back with you in just a second. Okay, so now I have all of these pieces nicely cut out. So these are the exact shapes that they need to be. This is actually quite thick card. I think this is going to be much sturdier than I originally thought. So yeah, very nice. There are some score marks on here, so I will go through and score and fold certain pieces. But now it's just a case of following the instructions. And just to show you the instructions, here we are. We have both written and picture diagrams, as well as even some top tips from Jane herself. So for instance, a stash of pre-ripped tapes makes assembly way easier. That is very, very true. With your masking tape, take it and just rip a load of bits ready to go. Stick them where you can. I'm going to pop them on the edge of my table down here. And that way I can just reach for a little bit of tape rather than having to tear a piece off every single time. So half a dozen of these should be fine to start. And then I can start matching pieces up. So it says I'm already on step 5. So all of this up to now has been steps 1 to 4. Now step 5. Place the ears aside, locate the top of the headpiece, line it up with left side of the head as shown. Yes, I need to close this section first. So close that and then tape it into place. It's pretty much now just a jigsaw going ahead and getting all the pieces into position. So I'm going to start taping this together and I'll catch up with you in a bit with a bit of a progress update. Okay, it's time for an update. So I have completed the head section, so still the neck to go, but this is the head. So that is a lot of masking tape on there because I am being extra cautious on this. I want to make sure those seams are fully shut. But look at that shape. It's almost T-Rex like. If this had a bottom jaw, imagine like that's a T-Rex, right? Anyway, this is the head part. I now need to do basically the same thing for the neck. Get that together, and then it's ears and horns, I believe. But first, neck. Let's get that done. Okay, so we've now got the neck, we've got the head. They fit together like this. We've also got ears and horns. So I am going to stick the ears and the horns on. These are optional, but actually the Eastern Dragon that I'm going for does have horns, so I can modify these when they go on. And because they're made up of lots of different animals, I'm also going to put the ears on as well, because I think I can modify those. I just have to think about where I'm going to put them. I think maybe that's too much like a giraffe, maybe down here. So my hot glue gun is just heating up, so I literally just need to stick this all together now and let it cool down a little bit. Well, here we are. This is the dragon head all completed in terms of construction. The only thing left to do now is to cover this all in a layer of paper mache. So this is the simplest paper mache. Any UK fans here that watched Art Attack will know this one. It's my favourite way of doing paper mache actually, and that is over here. I've got a solution which is 50% water, 50% PVA glue, just standard PVA school glue. Down here I've got craft paper. Any type of paper really will work. Newspaper is a really good one, tissue paper, but I'm just going to dip it in, get most of the excess off here, get nice and messy, and then just stick it down. And that's it. And I'm going to go over the whole model like this, and I'm going to leave it overnight to dry, and then tomorrow when I come back we'll be able to get on with finishing and really customizing this into the dragon that we want. And it's at this point, when I'm making quite good progress with the head and doing the paper mache, that I have realised that I've forgotten the dragon head mount and that this needs some time to dry as well. So all this is, there's two shapes, cut out two each of these and then sandwich them all together. So I'm going to quickly do that just because it needs to dry overnight, and then I'll come back in the morning when this is all completed and dry and that is all completed and dry, and we can get on to the next steps. But before we do that, did you know I have a goal this year to get to 10,000 subscribers on the channel? And it's so easy for you to get involved and to help and to join the Frogface family. All you have to do, you see, just down there, right down there, there's a subscribe button. Just click it. That's all. You know what? If you want to go the extra mile and really show people that you enjoyed the video, click the like button as well and maybe they'll join us. You know, you help me, I help you. I do giveaways and tutorials. All you have to do is like and subscribe. It's a win-win situation. Anyway, that's given you enough time to click the button, so let's get back to the video. Okay, it is now the next day. Welcome back. I've had a rest and everything has now dried. And you see me kind of fiddling with it down here. Here is the finished, completed dragon head. So in the instructions, Jane says that from here, you could just paint this and this would be an amazing ornament. And actually, I agree. So if I just pop this on here so you can get the full effect, there we go, it's like a mounted dragon head. This is so cool. I am so pleased with this. And if it weren't for the fact that I'm me and I have to go the extra mile, I would probably just paint this as is. But, as you know, I am doing this for the Chinese Lunar New Year, which means I want to make this a little bit more of an Eastern dragon. So I'm going to be adding some more sculpting on here. And I'm just going to be doing this with paper mache, so exactly the same as we have done already, but just using it to build some more forms. So, Jane does say in the booklet and in the instructions you can use foil, you can use paper, you can use all sorts of things, and that's absolutely true. There's lots of ways you could build up this sculpture. I am going to use paper mache, so I'm going to use the craft paper that I've already been using. I'm going to make coils and things like that and stick them to this to build it up. I don't have anything for the eyes. I'm going to go and have a look in my stash because I have beads and buttons and all sorts up there. And so I'm just going to see what I've got that I can use for eyes. Could sculpt those as well in paper mache, but I think having a nice solid base for an eye will be very helpful. And then the actual base itself, I think I'm going to keep as is. I might just smooth off the edges with a little bit of paper mache. But a very distinctive feature of Eastern dragons is their nose, their snout. So while Western dragons are very reptilian, Eastern dragons are made up of a whole mixture of different animals. So we have deer antlers and rabbit ears and goodness knows what else. So I do want to build up the nose, which I think is taken from an ox or a horse, but I'm going to build up the nose at the front. Also have some whiskers on this and some fluff. These dragons also have fur and hair, so I'm going to add some of that in as well with some scales and spikes and things like that. Once I've got the nose on, then I can think about where I want the eyes to be on this. And when all of that's done, it will just be a case of painting. But I'm going to move things around so you can see what I'm doing and start building up the nose as an example. And then you'll see just how easy it is to build up on one of these and modify it to your own needs and wants. Okay, so building up the form actually couldn't be very much simpler. We have here just a little ball of craft paper, and this is just a scrap that I've taken off and screwed up. And all I'm going to do, this is going to be like the centre of the nose just here. So I'm going to roughly pop it in place and then get a piece of masking tape and secure it down. And then by going around all of the edges and getting it into place, I can secure it and then tape over the top of it and really get it firmed up where I want it to be. But that's very roughly where the middle of my nose is going to be, and then I'm going to build up from there. So let me do a little bit more sticking and building up, and then I'll show you what I've got. Okay, status update. I have been doing a little bit of work. You can see I have extended the horns up here. We've got a nose ridge. The actual nose itself is in place. Nice big bulbous nose. Also got a bottom lip down here. So I was just having a look through my junk to see what I can find for eyes, and this is absolute proof that being a trash goblin is actually a good thing, because in my polymer clay stash I found this, which I think I've made for a previous project and then not used, and these are, I think, just about the right size for eyes on here. So I'm going to quickly glue these into the position that I want, and then carry on building around them with some coils and snakes of paper, getting ready to paper mache this all for the next section. Okay, a little bit of work later, and I think I've got everything where I want it to be for the next layer of paper mache, and here we are. So that is our base. Our eyes are in as well. I just need to go over and mache all of this so that we've got a nice consistent base again. I've got a few more details to add after that, and then it's on to painting, but we're coming quite close to this one. Oh, it's gotten very sunny in here, but here we are. This is now all paper mache. I've also gone ahead, and on the inside here I've glued these tabs. These are going to help me glue this down to the base here, which I think is the next thing to do, because once we've done this, it's time for a few final details and then painting. As for those final details, let me show you what I've got over here. This is just, well, remember that file that we used? So I've just cut out lots of little random shapes. I've got some slightly larger ones, which I don't know whether I'm going to use, and then some straight pieces. So the straight pieces are for the front here to be layered over like this, to give this kind of chest carapace look. And then all of these are little scales to stick on the body, just for a little bit of added detail that make it pop when we are painting it. So I am going to go ahead, glue this in position, glue down the details that I want, and then let it all dry. So when we come back, we can start looking at painting this guy and thinking about all of those finishing details that we want to have. Wow, it's feeling very atmospheric with the sunlight streaming through and part of me in shadow, but hey ho, I'm still stuck in the dining room. I'm having to work with it. Down here you might be able to see this is now completely finished in terms of construction. I do need to do a little bit more drying on it because there are a couple of bits that are quite tacky. But here we go. This is everything so far. Now all of these bits will make more sense, particularly this. It looks like it's got a bit of a moustache, but it will make sense when it's all coloured and painted. So with painting, the first thing I'm going to do is go over everything with just some black acrylic paint, get it all to a single colour. When I'm working on models, I generally use black as my base because colours pop when you use them on top, particularly if you use a little bit of white and add some extra opacity. But it also means that you get a lot of depth in the shadows as well without doing very much work. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to dry this off, and I'm going to paint it all black and let that dry, and then I'll come back to you and we'll talk about colours and extra adornments and all of those little finishing touches we want to get done as well. Okay, so everything is now black. It's all one thing. It really brings a model together when you get your base coat of whatever colour you're using. Grey is also a really good option as well. White maybe not so much. But right, I've got a few different paints here. I've got this is Sennelier acrylic in red, and then I've got some Liquitex in orange and yellow. I've also got the Stuart Semple Goldest Gold paint as well, and I've got my Frisk acrylic markers down here as well, just for a little bit of variety. So what I'm going to do first is I really want to build the colour on this. So I'm just using a scrap of card down here. That's what I was using for my black. I'm just going to squeeze some of this red out if it wants to come out. There we go. This is incredibly thick paint, which is going to work well. See, it's very heavy body. And I'm going to use my brush, and then because I want to build this, I'm almost kind of dry brushing over. There we go. You can see it will start to pick up some of those textures as well. And I'm just going to go over and build the colour on this. I'm going to build in and work some of the orange as well, and some of the yellow going into gold. It's going to be a fairly colourful dragon. And then the back plate, so as well as it being the year of the dragon, it is a wood year as well. So there are elements associated with each of the years. This year's is a wood, so I thought I would do a wooden plaque in the back. So that's what I'm going to do there. But yeah, I think this is going to go well. Right, so all of the painting is now complete, and you can see I've just used some burnt sienna in the back with a little bit of black, just for a very, very general faux wood in the back. But yeah, everything is now painted except for the eyes, which I'm still a little bit undecided on. I might have a little bit of a play around to see where I want pupil alignment and stuff. But we are still looking quite European. So I want to give it a little bit more Asian flavour, and this is where this comes into play. So this is just some yarn. I think this is 100% acrylic yarn. Yeah, 100% acrylic yarn. So I'm going to take bits of this and I'm going to comb it out to create little tufts of fur, because Asian dragons have tufts of fur on their face and their chin and all the way down the back. So we are going to be bringing that in with this yellow, which I think will complement really nice against the red and the orange and the gold that we've currently got. First thing I need to do is to cut lots of bits of yarn. Okay, development. So here's the yarn that I'm using. I had intended initially to gather it into clumps like this, and then brush out and separate one side so that we get this, which is more of like a soft tuft, and I put it against, and I don't mind how it looks, but I kind of like the straight as well. Let me just show you. So that's the straight, that's the fluffy. I kind of like the straight, and if I use the straight, it's going to save me a whole bunch of time, because that little bit took me 10 minutes to unravel, and I'm going to do a bunch of these, and I don't want to be sat here for hours unraveling yarn. So I think I'm going to go with the straight. It will work. It will also look like little clumps of hair as well, and could be styled, and I could potentially get some glue in there and style it a little bit. And we are finished, and there we are. He is all hung up, and that'll be where he lives from now on. So he'll be in lots of videos in the future. He does need a name, so I put it to my Patreon to come up with a name for it. There is a link down below if you want to click that and join the Patreon. And there's lots of benefits to doing that. You know, you get to chat to me whenever you want on Discord, get free entry into all of my giveaways, exclusive behind the scenes content as well. So, you know, it's worth it. And then you get to name things like this, and I do love naming things. For instance, this over here, very colourful mannequin, this is Steve Sharp. We also have up here my Dragon Priest mask, that's Kevin. It's actually Kevin Mark II. So I need a name for the dragon. So if you're one of my Patreons, feel free to drop a comment in our Discord and name that dragon. But as you can see, I've got the studio back for now, at least. I really need to go and get a haircut as well, so I think I'm going to go and do that today. I have a very special Valentine's Day video coming next week, so make sure you tune in for that. There might be a giveaway, hint hint. But for now, as always, I hope you've enjoyed today's video, and until next time, goodbye.